Welcome to part 2 of the ultimate garage storage system. In part 1 of this series, we built the base of these shelves. If you haven't seen it yet, start there. But today we're going to be adding a built-in garage fridge or freezer, sliding barn doors with a DIY hardware, and a quick and easy pegboard wall for storage. So let's go ahead and get started on modern builds. Today's video is going to be structured a little differently. This is my first 2-part video. The video will be separated in each 3 sections of the build, the first being the garage fridge. Let's get started on that. Step 1 for this part was getting the freezer in place, which was a task of its own. After that, I could cut my 2x4s down and start making my shelves. I assembled these the same way I did in episode 1, making sure to pre-drill my holes before screwing everything in. Also, make sure and tie into studs whenever you screw into the wall. With the 2 shelves above the fridge, it was time to add the leg, which was just another 8-foot long 2x4. And last but not least, I cut down some 5/8 inch MDF for the shelves. World of Warships is a massive multiplayer game that lets you battle it out in some of history's most iconic ships. This game is incredibly detailed with over 200 ships from 8 different nations. Pair that with weather effects that change the tactics of your battle and some of the coolest explosions I have seen, there's always something new to experience. And right now, if you follow the link down in the description and use the code PLAYWARSHIPS2018, you will receive 250 doubloons, 1 million credits, 3 days of premium access, along with a port slot and the premium ship, the HMS Campbellton. So join the over 7 million players in the perfect mix of strategic and action gameplay in World of Warships, the thinking man's action game. And don't forget to follow those links down in the description. Now back to the build. I'll be using 3/4 inch electrical conduit for the majority of the barn door hardware. After measuring it, I cut it to length using a tube cutter. This isn't the most rigid pipe or tube out there, but it's really affordable and pretty convenient to work with. I use conduit fasteners along with 3 flat washers as spacers to hang the conduit from the legs. After putting the tube in place, I added a coupler to the end on the inside. Then I repeated the exact same process, adding fasteners on the other side of the tube that I just installed. After I cut it to length, I could install that and tighten down the coupler as well. I'm using 3-inch wide aluminum flat bar to make the hangers that attach to the door. The cool thing about aluminum is you can cut it with the same woodworking tools that you normally use because it's a really soft metal. And once I had all my pieces cut to length, I drilled a hole in the top. This is where the caster's going to go. I'll have links to those along with the spacers, the nuts, the bolts, and everything else that I used for this project. Make sure and check out the written article if you plan on building this because it'll have a little bit more information to help you build it as well. The doors themselves are made out of 1/2 inch MDF, and I cut those to length so that it matched the height of the bottom of the refrigerator door. Then I used 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood as a spacer between the top of the door and the bottom of the caster. Then I transferred the holes from the hanger to the door itself. I've been wanting to experiment with black chalkboard paint for a long time, but didn't really have the right application, but I think this is a very practical use. Maybe you have a project in your garage that you need a to-do list for, or you want to keep track of what's in your garage fridge or freezer. I think this is a good option. And because I already drilled the holes prior to painting, the hangers lined up and attached really easily. Just make sure they're square. I won't lie to you, I was genuinely surprised with how smooth this rolled. Of course, the one screw holding the bar up in the middle is not perfect, but hopefully I can come up with a good solution for that. If you have one, leave a comment. Pegboard comes in flat 1/8 inch thick sheets, and you need some sort of backing material to raise it off the wall so the hooks can go into the pegs. I'm using some scrap 3/4 inch plywood that I cut into strips, and after cutting the pegboard to size, I attached that to the back side of it. After everything was attached, I put some spacers on the workbench so that everything would be evenly spaced, and I drilled a few screws into the studs behind the wall. I love pegboard. It's quick, simple, and the perfect solution for this project. So thanks a ton for watching. I am pumped with how this project came out. I couldn't be more excited for this sliding barn door, especially as a first prototype. The next version I make is either going to be made out of copper pipe or I'm going to use some brass tube for it. They slide so smooth, and the only negative that I have is right here where I had to use screws to hold it up because these metal clips got in the way for the casters to roll over them. So if you have any ideas or a cool solution for that, leave me a comment because it's still something that I'm trying to workshop. If you build this or something like it, I would love to see it. Make sure and tag me on Instagram @modernbuilds. And if you have any questions about it or anything else, shoot me a DM. I do my best to keep up with those. And don't forget to check out the written article for this project because I have a build article with plans on it. It's got a 3D model, all the dimensions, and you can download my 3D model if you want to adjust it to fit your space. If you want to stay up to date with me and all the projects I'm doing, make sure and click that subscribe button here. Part 1 of this video series will pop up here, and finally, a random video will be right here. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and until next time, this has been Modern Builds. Bye, guys!